So that was nice. So I went home to my East Village apartment, where I happened to be living rent-free at the moment, because it's a long story. So there are all these, no, I mean, our landlord and landlady left town and absconded with things, and the bank foreclosed. So my brother and I and our roommates were living in the apartment rent-free for a couple years, which was a big gift and very much like so I was in my East Village apartment, and I took the cassette tape and I put it in my boombox. And I played the song, and I have to say that it didn't initially blow me away what came out of my speakers. It was Jonathan, I found out later, had recorded it on his home studio system, which was just sort of keyboards, MIDI stuff. He didn't have a guitar, he didn't have drums. So it was like, and I didn't know this at the time, of course, but the lyrics wound up changing. But the lyrics that you're familiar with from the current version of the show, the true version of the show, is, you know, how do you document real life when real life's getting more like fiction each day? Headlines, breadlines blow my mind, and now this deadline eviction or pay rent, right? The version in 1994 was still Mark starting out the song, but with very different lyrics. Instead they went, if I threw my body out the window, brain all splattered, guts all steaming in the snow, I wouldn't have to finish shooting films that no one wants to show. So there were improvements made. But, you know, but it's still, I have to say, all in all, that those were kind of, it certainly didn't sound like any other musical song that I, you know, from a song from a musical theater piece that I'd ever heard before. So it was, you know, certainly intriguing. So I worked up the song, and I went back in a couple days, and again in the morning, and started singing the song. And for those of you who are familiar with the music of the song, you know that Mark starts singing on one note and Roger starts singing on a different note. Well, I started singing on Roger's note and so far, so I had to stop and start over again. Guess what? I still got the part. It didn't matter that I screwed up again. So I screwed up in both my auditions, and I got the part. So just for everyone to know, it's okay. So that was really good news. I got to leave my job at Starbucks. And we all gathered together for the first day of rehearsal. And again, this is still all that I know about the show at this point, is just that little description on my agent's desk and the little glimmer of Rent that I heard, the one little track of Jonathan singing. That's all. So on the first day of rehearsal, we all gathered together in this kind of dingy office where the New York Theater Workshop at the time had their offices in Midtown, which was weird because they were based in the East Village, and here we are in Midtown. And we're all kind of like a little bit nervous and sleepy and, you know, excited, but like, who are you? And we all gathered together around the piano, and Michael Greif, our director, says that the first thing we're going to do today is, he didn't even really talk about the show at all. He just said the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to learn a song. And the song will tell you a lot about what the show is. And the song is this beautiful song that Jonathan wrote called Seasons of Love. And he said, as you're listening to this song, as Tim, our musical director, is teaching it to you, start to hear yourself in it. It's not just this character you're playing, it's also start to hear how you are expressing yourself in it. And think about the song. The song doesn't literally take place at a funeral, but it is a song commemorating the life of someone you've lost. So I was like, wow, that's a lot to say in the first morning rehearsal. But like I said, it's an unusual way to begin too, because a lot of times in the first day of rehearsal, there's like this whole presentation about what the set will look like, and then you read through the play, and this was just getting right into the core of something. And Tim started playing the song, and those particular beautiful chords came out of the piano, and right away, everyone in the room started going, "Oh, what's that?" And then he started singing the lyric, and we were like, "What's that?" And then he started teaching it to us, and we started singing it back, and like already there were those those of us in the cast, we already started to blend our voices together, and then he started teaching us the harmonies in the chorus, and that's when I had the first real sense of something, that there was something magical happening in this piece that Jonathan had written. You know, there was something, this song, I think most people in the room would agree that there's not really another song quite like it that I've ever heard, and certainly not in theater. The directness of its lyric and what it's asking, the questions it's asking, and the answers it's proposing, to me really cut to the core of an aspect of human experience that most theater does not do. So right away that was very, very exciting. Then kind of like, ooh, we're all part of something cool. So that was, most of the first day was spent doing that and meeting and greeting and talking about stuff. And then that night I went home and I started just listening to more and more of the score on these cassette tapes that were handed to me. And a lot of it was, some of it was Jonathan just doing demos in his apartment. Some of it, they'd done like just a sort of staged reading of it before, so there were other voices. And certainly other things jumped out at me as being, you know, sounded pretty good, but the next thing that really grabbed me was at the end of Act 1, this musical number called La Vie Bohème. And at first I was like, oh, that's cool, my character gets to start a song, that's cool. And then I found out later I got to dance on tables, which is even cooler. But as I was listening to the song, you know, at first it was like, oh, it's fun, it's clever, it's high energy, it's a party, cool, cool, cool. And then by the end of the song, when it gets to the entire company joining together in one strong voice and saying, fully singing their hearts out, saying, to faggots, lesbies, dykes, cross-dressers too, to people living with, not dying from disease, let he among us without sin be the first to condemn La Vie Bohème. And that, I mean, it was really like a jolt to hear that coming out of my little boombox speakers. Because again, I never heard anything like that in a show, let alone or any pop song, where Jonathan had said, you know what, I'm going to be political. I'm going to say something really strong and bold about what I think the world should be like, and I'm going to put it inside of this really catchy, cool song. And the idea that I was going to be a part of a company that was going to get to say that every night to the audience was incredibly inspiring and exciting and empowering. And that was sort of the next level of being a part of something really extraordinary. And then as rehearsals wore on, you know, like I said, it was a very compact rehearsal period. It was only really about 2.5 weeks of rehearsal just to get it all up on its feet and learn it. And, do it in very simple staging and everything, which is partly why the staging ultimately became as simple as it did when we did the show before, because we discovered it kind of worked really simple. You know, I then discovered the power of Cover Your Reprise and Will I, and the Seasons of Love, how it worked in the show, in the context of the show, and then the finale, and the show continued to reveal itself as being something quite powerful and special. So for our 10 performances, we did them, and the audiences started responding incredibly well. I had friends and colleagues come to these early day performances, and they would most, 90% of them would walk out saying, "This is something great. I can't wait to see what comes of it." But at the time, we didn't know necessarily that something was going to come of it. We thought there was a good chance, but the way it works, just like anything, it's sort of like a TV pilot. You shoot the pilot, and then may or may not get picked up for a series. In this case, we do the workshop, the 10 performances, and then we hope that it will get a real production down the road. Because there was still stuff that needed to be worked on, evidenced by the lyrics that I quoted. But it was also very, very evident that it was really good, based on our experiences and based on the response that we were getting from the audiences. The 10 performances sold out like that, standing ovations, and on and on. So, and in that time I was starting to get to know Jonathan, and he was really friendly and cool and open and excited, and I learned more and more about his personal story of how he had been struggling himself for years. He'd gotten out of college, and he'd try to work a little bit as an actor, but then he really knew that his strength was probably more in composing and writing. So he'd been plugging away, getting close to certain things happening.